My family, like many in Ohio, is largely of German and Italian descent. Metzger is a German occupational surname meaning butcher. However, most of my ancestors were farmers. My family is part of a group called the Fulda families. Fulda is a city in Noble County, Ohio, where many families of German descent reside. It was named for a city in Hesse, Germany, where many of my ancestors originated. A genealogy website can trace my predecessors back 7 generations to 1760s Germany. It is likely that most of them came to Ohio as immigrants looking for a better life. Because they nearly all settled in the same city and county, they probably faced very little discrimination. Religion played an important role in the lives of those living in Fulda, Ohio. Many of my predecessors were married at St. Mary of the Immaculate Conception Church. Catholicism remains an important part of my family's identity, and even though I no longer believe or practice, many of the cultural pieces remain. The less obvious but more culturally salient side of my family is the Italian side. While my name and physical features are decidedly Germanic, we are culturally closer to my Italian heritage, since they immigrated to the United States much more recently. My great-grandmother, Natalina Maggini, immigrated to the country from Pisa, Italy in 1912, and her husband, Luigi Bru, immigrated from Sarnano, Italy in 1916. Luigi petitioned to become a naturalized citizen in 1934. They settled in Waynesburg, Ohio. Many other Italian families had also immigrated there. While my grandmother grew up speaking Italian, she only used it with her sister, and her children never learned how to speak it. She did pass down a few phrases and children's rhymes. Food, on the other hand, was something we passed down with great care. Every year at Thanksgiving, the whole family gathers to make ravioli from scratch, using a recipe that's been passed down for generations. We have archived detailed records of every batch for many years. Both sides of my family are very closely knit. They are also, in many ways, very conservative. Divorce is nearly unheard of, and anything outside of heterosexuality is never talked about. An aunt came out to me once because she was afraid that her cousins would react with homophobia if they knew. She has been living with her partner for many years, but the real nature of their relationship is never discussed within the family. Both sides of my family also come from areas that are very white. The racism was usually subtle, but there were times where it became overt. My sister had called some relatives to tell them about a guy she had started seeing, and their first question to her was, "He's not black, is he?" Her boyfriend is Haitian. It was hard coming home after 2 years in a women's studies program. I had always been liberal, but I returned even more so, and I had become really aware of my privilege for the first time. I realized how much of a bubble we had always lived in. In Helms's white identity model, I probably fell somewhere in the immersion-emersion status phase. I was starting to recognize what it meant to live in such a privileged space. Much of my family was probably still in the disintegration stage, where they believe they aren't racist or sexist, but still hold many stereotypes. I avoided talking too much about my work, because I didn't want to cause problems within my family. Mental health is something we don't talk about. I can remember mentioning it only once, after my father's open heart surgery. The doctors warned us that he could experience depression in the year following, but it never became a major issue for him, and it went undiscussed after that. It's always felt taboo. I have become much more aware of what I say and how I interact with others. My parents were among the first in their families to go to college. It was always understood that my sister and I would go, and we received a tremendous amount of support. Not all of my students will have as much privilege as we did. I hope to be the kind of higher ed professional that students feel comfortable talking to. I always try to create a safe, welcoming environment. I also want to work outside the office to advance social justice goals. It's not enough to declare myself an ally. I need to show that I am every day.
Created using Powtoon.